everybody. Welcome in to A Glitch in the Matrix. I'm your lovely host. I'm Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Huntress. And I have this wonderful, fantastic, really cool show for us today. I have my buddy, John Vandeventer, here in the studio today to help me talk about something that I have not talked about on my channel before. We're going to be talking about Tommyknockers, gnomes, leprechauns, and the Cherokee Little People. Okay. And a host of other stuff. If we can get to it, we've got so much to talk about. I've printed out about 100 pages worth of stuff that I've been going over today. And because this is not my forte, y'all. I'm into, the bigger cryptids like Bigfoot and Dogman and giants. So we're going to go from one extreme to the other. Last week, I believe we were talking about giants. This week, we're talking about the wee little folk. Okay, the little people. And it's really interesting, y'all. Okay. And this all stems from last week's show. Okay. I was actually talking about the Van Meter monster with Barry Littleton. If you'll remember on Thursday night, and Barry questioned, he was like, "What in the world is a Tommyknocker?" Okay. And I said, "Well, I guess we're going to have a show about Tommyknockers." Okay. So this is what we're doing today. And plus, if you go into any store like Hobby Lobby, or Michael's or Walmart or anywhere. There's gnomes, you guys. There are gnomes everywhere. I have a gnome right behind me. There's one over my shoulder today. We have gnomes in the building today, and so they're everywhere, especially at Christmas time as well. And Santa's got his elves out there working too. So we're going to talk about all that today. Okay, if you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows and everything I'm doing, you guys can go to my website. That's the cryptidhuntress.com. Okay. And my shows are all there. Any event that I'm going to be at. By the way, y'all, I had the best time at the Molina Bigfoot Festival over the weekend on Saturday. I had several of my viewers, by the way, show up there and come hang out with me. And I gave them all a keychain. Okay. I think I gave everybody keychains that was there and some stickers and whatever kind of Cryptid Huntress merch I had. Okay. And so I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who showed up to the Molina Bigfoot Festival over the weekend. Okay. It really meant a lot to me that you guys were there. And we learned about Bigfoot and got a bunch of really good Bigfoot merch while we were there, including this shirt. Oh my gosh. I have on hold on, Explore Georgia. I think it's called Squatch Trading. You guys go to their website. If you're looking for a really good Sasquatch t-shirt, go to them. Support small businesses, y'all. Explore Georgia. This is a Georgia shirt. They probably have other states there too, but this is like quality, man. I'm so happy with my purchase. I tell y'all what, they make great Christmas gifts. Okay. All right. Also, if you guys would like to support what I'm doing, you can go to my Patreon. That's the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon, and War Woman Goods. I'm going to be posting some more jewelry in my shop. If you guys would like to shop with me for your Christmas gifts this year. Okay, let's get to our show, y'all. I have so much to talk about, and I've got John here. John is always a wealth of knowledge, and he has some personal stories about the little people today. Okay, so on this episode, we're talking about little people gnomes, Tommyknockers. Tommyknockers are said to be little gnomes who live deep in the caves and mines and are mysterious creatures of the underworld. Miners have seen them, but more often felt their presence or heard them, tapping, knocking on the walls of mines, warning the miners of danger, telling them to get out. You don't ignore a Tommyknocker. Okay, that's one thing that I have learned. We do not ignore Tommyknockers. Not if you want to live, at least. They can be your best friend, and they can be your worst nightmare. Okay, and I think that's kind of similar for a lot of the smaller statured cryptids that we have out there. The legend of the Tommyknockers has been around for thousands of years, beginning in the 10 mine days of the Roman Empire. If you sit quietly and listen, at the entrance of a cave, you too might hear a Tommyknocker mining away at the gold and potentially warning you to get out, okay, before the mine collapses. I have John Vandeventer here. John's originally from Plano, Texas. He's a 16-year veteran of the United States Air Force. Let's see. I have hold on. Let me grab his bio, y'all. He is the author of the novel Relics, first published in 2017, after he spent about 2 years writing the novel and researching the topic of Sasquatch, as he wrote. In 2018, he and his wife moved to Honobi, Oklahoma, in the heart of Oklahoma Sasquatch country. He's been a guest speaker on several Bigfoot and paranormal podcasts, and he was also a speaker at the Honobia Bigfoot Festival in 2018. He served as MC for the 2021 Honobi Bigfoot Festival and will return to MC again in 2022, or he did. We're in the future, y'all. In 2021, John became an active writer again. He signed with Empire Publishing. He's completed 2 complete series, Relics Fiction adult series and the Shadow Chasers adult fiction series. He has retired. Everybody retires, but it seems like you get more busy after you retire, right? And he's working on a new book. I think he just put it to the publishers, I guess, and so it's publishing right now. Please help me welcome to the show my buddy, John Vandeventer.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, John. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Thank you for being here today. We have so much to talk
I need
about.
to update my bio, don't I?
I noticed that right as I was reading it. So I felt like I was in the future reading the past, but it's okay because you're super busy with all of your books, and you have one of the best book series that I know of regarding Sasquatch,
Thank you.
UFOs, all that paranormal stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Catherine, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who's in the chat today, by the way. Catherine, I met Catherine in Las Vegas at the Spaced Out Radio fan party. Thank you for that super chat. I appreciate that. I love you too, cuz. And also, I wanted to give a shout out to Colleen Roach, who's in the chat. It's her birthday today, everybody. So everybody, please wish Colleen a happy birthday today.
Happy
and on
birthday.
behalf of me and John, we want to tell you happy birthday, Colleen. Okay. All right. We have the best audience, John. I'm so excited. Okay. So we're going to be talking about Tommyknockers today. I want to start off with the Tommyknocker subject, John. It's something that people have been writing into me this past week, telling me their own stories of Tommyknockers. Now, I believe that you might have a story that you've heard or you've experienced on your own of Tommyknockers. Can you tell me about it?
Well, this isn't my story. Now, I do have a story about the little people when we get there. But I did a quick look on Tommyknockers, and those of you that like to get on YouTube, I want you to look for this guy named Jeff Williams. He's a miner and a geologist, and I watched a couple of his episodes this morning, and he was deep down in a coal mine and started getting the knocks. You know, he hammered on something and the knocks started coming back, and then they just kept coming. And in another scene, he had drilled a hole in this wall and was shoving a rod in there, and he found a cavity, an empty space on the other side of the wall, and something started turning his rod and just pulled it through the hole. It got away from him. So I want to go back and watch the rest and try to figure out what did that. But he did have evidence of Tommyknocker activity, and that rod thing was pretty wild. Really, I just kind of I didn't know that much about it, still don't. As you were saying, they go back to Roman times. I guess the American version, the American stories came from Cornish and Welsh miners that had come over to the United States or come over to the New World, and they kind of brought the Tommyknocker legend with them. And the activity, the same activity they were getting over in Great Britain, back in those days, in the old times. Now they're still having it here, and they started immediately having it here when they started mining. So I guess it's never been this is the only time I've lived in a mining area, like not too far from here, where they got the coal mines and stuff around Heavener. And I use those for some other weird stuff that happened in those mines occasionally. But so this is kind of new. It's something I think I want to dig into more, since I am in an area with mines now.
Oh yeah. Well, that's something that we continually talk about is the relation to cryptids and gold mines and any kind of mines. I mean, I've been hearing about mines and cryptids for a long time, and I've talked even extensively with Fred Roll up in Alaska with subarctic Alaska Sasquatch on YouTube. We made a connection to the Sasquatch guarding gold mines, and then last week we had the Van Meter monster out of Iowa. That thing was seen coming out of a coal mine. It's not a gold mine, but a coal mine. So these mines and cryptids, I think it's a great place for cryptids to live and to hide if they don't want to be seen. Um, but also, I mean, potentially they could be like entrances to inner Earth. If you guys are, if you believe in inner Earth, I do. I totally do. Okay, but it could they could be entrances to something you know, a little more mysterious, I guess. And so the Tommyknockers are a little terrifying. Okay. But if you go back and think about pop culture, these things have been kind of shown to us for many years. Okay. Back in the 1930s, we had Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Okay. I believe that's when that came out. And Snow White was found by a bunch of dwarves. Now, listen, I'm going to get into this in detail here in just a minute because I could do an entire show just on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Okay. And because there's so much symbology in that. There's so much not only about with the little people, the dwarfs, they're basically like Tommyknockers. Okay. That's the way I would describe them. But also we've got stuff in there like a magic mirror. We have blood rituals, okay, like all sorts of weird stuff, very occultish. In addition to the seven dwarves that are in there, and so yeah, that's a rabbit hole. I don't know if you guys want to go down it today, but I guarantee you, I'm going to talk about that in the future, especially those magic mirrors, and not to mention John, the Mandela effect.
Yes,
Were you aware that the Mandela effect has affected the Snow White movie?
it's affected everything, it seems. I mean, I can remember, I'm pretty good about like movie lines and things like that. I have a good memory, you know, but I remember things from the past and now they're saying, no, that was never said. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. But yeah, the Mandela effect, that's really weird. And
It's weird.
so
Okay.
I can see it affecting Snow White.
Well, okay, so the part about it, the Mandela effect of Snow White is mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. That's what I remember. Now it's something different, and I can't remember exactly what it is now, but it's not mirror,
Have you
mirror on
gone
the
back
wall.
and looked to see if it is actually something
I
different?
I have not, but I mean, I've seen clips of the movie that people had posted in regards to this Mandela effect. So it's happened. That's what I hear is that it's not mirror, mirror on the wall anymore. It's something different.
That's weird.
Um, who's the fairest of them all? It's super weird. It's super weird. Um, yes,
Because the way
Roger.
you're saying it is how
Roger
I
in the chat is
remember it.
wondering if the Tommyknockers. Oh yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly.
Well,
Okay,
he
Roger's
brings
wondering
up
if
a good point.
Tommyknockers have a connection to leprechauns.
Well, the leprechauns are said to be guarding
Hmm.
gold. Also, there's a German word for the Tommyknockers. It's Berggeister, and it means mountain ghost, and they believe to be guardians of gold and treasure too.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. Hey, I'm gonna put a picture up here, and I'm gonna switch over to my phone, y'all. We've got one of those things where I'm starting to lag a little bit today. So, yeah, we're okay. So the Tommyknockers, I think that they can all kind of be classified in with leprechauns a little bit. I know it's different. We're gonna go there in just a second. Um, but yeah, John, let me switch over to my phone real quick, and if you have
No
any more
problem.
facts on the Tommyknockers, okay, I'm gonna be switching over while you talk about it.
Okay. Um. Okay. Didn't expect to be solo. Actually, my information on them, folks, is they first came to America, as I mentioned earlier. The stories from Cornish and Welsh miners that brought their trade to the New World. Um, as I mentioned earlier, the Germans have a name for them. The Swiss have a name for them. Um, and they do. There's something about all these gnomes and small people like this. They always seem to be guardians of some kind of treasure or like gold or silver or something like that. And if you really got an interest in them, I really can't tell you enough. Go watch this Jeff Williams guy on YouTube and watch his Tommyknocker episodes. It's pretty wild.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go check this guy out. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you sound
Okay.
good.
It's a glitch in the Matrix once again. Yeah, that's funny. Oh my gosh, yeah. Roger said some of these pictures look like his kinfolk. Okay, that's kind of funny. Yes, so the Tommyknockers started, okay, the traditions go back way back in the day, back in the Welsh traditions, Celtic traditions of the miners there. The Tommyknockers were mischievous, but they would save your life. Okay, now I did post, and I pinned it to the top of the live chat today. I do have a video of a reported Tommyknocker, okay, that was on TikTok. Now, I don't know the validity of this video, y'all. I can't tell you for sure if this is a real video or not, but I have still shots from it today. So I figured I would show the audience some of the still shots. Now, y'all go up and click on that and you can see the video. It looks like a little man with beautiful long hair, beautiful hair. And he's climbing up. He was baited. Okay, the story behind this goes he was baited by some British miners. Okay, some miners out of the UK, and he almost looks like he has gray skin. Now, this could be like a night vision discrepancy, like where he doesn't look this color usually, but I don't know. Okay, and you can see this is just some clips from the short video that they show on TikTok. And this is the little fella right here. They're calling him a gnome, but it looks like a real human. I mean, some people might say that's CGI. Some may say it's just all set up for a movie. I don't know, but it's pretty convincing. Okay, and this is a little guy, short in stature, looks a little like Santa Claus. Okay, with his white hair and his grayish blue. It's kind of blue. You know what that reminds me of, John?
What's that?
The Smurfs. Okay,
Yeah.
the Smurfs, right? Something else from pop culture. Okay. And so, like I said, I don't know the validity of this video 100%, but I've seen it. I did pin it. It is in the live chat at the very top. You guys go scroll up to the top. It's up there. And y'all tell me what you think. Okay. Tell me what you think. Now, I'm going to go over some of the characteristics of these Tommyknockers. Okay. The creatures are known to make mischief. They'll eat your lunch, hide your tools, knock your hard hat off your head, tweak your ear. And some people think that they appear as the ghosts of the miners who died in the mines years ago. So some people say that the Tommyknockers are not an actual 3D type of a creature. They think they're more of like a spiritual type of an entity. Okay. Because sometimes they'll see lights, like ghosts, like what they're seeing, they think are ghosts. The miners are seeing them in the mines. And they see a glowing light at the end of the tunnel that suddenly takes a human form and then vanishes in a misty white cloud. Some say that it's just could be like a mix of dust and dirt and a gas of some sort. But they say that when you see that light, you get out. Okay. Get out and don't look back, take off running, because it's probably the mine could potentially collapse or something could happen to you, because that's usually the Tommyknockers are giving a warning to get out. So they'll do favors to assist the miners. They work right along beside them, some people say, and they'll lead you to the riches, like the veins of gold or the veins of whatever metal it is they're down there trying to get. But if you mock them, John, if you mock them and if you make fun of them, they can cause injury and even your death. Okay, so
You know, and that was something I read up on them. You know that their tapping could mean a warning. You need to get out of the mine, or they could be trying to show you where the mother lode is. How do you know which one to do?
yeah, well, you have to go with your gut. Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I always say. Go with
well,
your
my
gut.
gut says don't go that far underground, anyways.
I know. Well, let me tell you, John, caves and mines are scary places.
Oh, they are.
Um,
They are. I agree.
they're very scary. It takes somebody with cojones of steel, okay, to be a miner and to even go caving. In my opinion, I've been in one cave. I mean, I've been in several caves, but I've only explored one for like paranormal stuff when we were out in Tennessee. And it was I didn't want to go in there by myself. Okay, and that's unusual. I don't mind doing things on my own, but that cave was so scary. It just we felt a presence in that cave, and well, and plus we were told there were skinwalkers in it.
Oh,
so
really? Yeah,
so yeah,
I don't know. Like, I've been in a few caverns and a couple of caves. It's just not my thing. I mean, I like the caverns are beautiful, but then I start thinking about how much rock and earth is above my head. I think it'd be the same way. Like, I toured a submarine once. It's great, even though I knew we weren't underwater. I didn't want to stay in it that long. You know, hey, this is cool. Let me out.
I
It
know,
must be
right?
a claustrophobia thing with me, I guess.
It is with me too. And the girl and her gong. Thank you for that super chat. Thank you so much. That super sticker. That means a lot. I appreciate that. Um, okay. Yes. I mean, I went into another cave. There's one. It's called Ruby Cave. I think up in Tennessee. Ruby Falls or Ruby Cave, and you have to take an elevator way down into the ground, and it's beautiful. It's like caverns, and you just go through these caves. It's absolutely beautiful, but it's very claustrophobic down there. But it's also a place that you could go to escape if something were to happen on the surface level of the earth. And I think a lot of these cryptids that we're looking into today, they live underground. I don't know if it's a way to escape what's going on above ground, or if it's just they're just subterranean because they prefer living down there. Maybe they've just adapted to living down there, and that's what they prefer. But I mean, even with like the Native American legends and stuff, there's these subterranean, even the little people. With the Cherokee have a story about the little people, and we can get into that today as well. They have a name for them. Let's see if I can find it. The Nunahi, I think is how you pronounce that. And they're a race of immortal spirit people in Cherokee mythology. Now they say mythology. A lot of this mythology, I think that there's a lot of truth behind it. Okay, from my research that I've done and my experiences, but they believe the Nunahi to be a type of supernatural human being, completely distinct from ghosts and nature spirits, as well as from the gods, Now they lived in subterranean housing. Something they called the townhouse is where they lived, and they would go underground. Um, and whenever they would help the Cherokee, like to get away from the enemy, or when they were being rounded up to be relocated, I guess you could say is the nice term for it. I guess it's not a nice term, but to be relocated to Oklahoma, a lot of people went and hid, in the mountains. A lot of the Native Americans, a lot of the Cherokees went to go hide, and they were guided into, the story goes, they were guided into the mountain behind a secret stone door. Okay. And where did we hear about the secret stone door? Last week, I believe I did that show, or week before last, on the giant that was spotted in Oregon, that gentleman said had disappeared behind a stone door that opened up in the side of a mountain. Okay, well, the Cherokee have a legend about the little people, and that they would open up a stone door, much like the one that was described with the giant out in Oregon from a couple of weeks ago. And they walked in, and the people that would go in there wouldn't want to leave because it was so beautiful inside. It's almost like the stories of Inner Earth, John. And that's their story. And the people would be safe there. And when they went in and they started communing and eating the food of these little people, they became immortal. Okay, which is interesting. So I don't
That's
know.
why. Now
So,
I have a Choctaw version here if you want to hear it. Um,
yes,
they
of
called
course.
them the Cowie Anukasha, or the Bopali. Uh, Connie Anukasha means forest dweller. Bopali means thrower because they would throw with small sticks and stones. And it was a playful thing. They weren't thrown to hurt, but they would take small children, usually males, and they'd kidnap them. And what they would do, they would keep them for 3 days, and they teach them about herbs and what plants to use to cure sickness or illness. And then they would return them to the tribe, and the children were to say nothing about what they learned, but they would become the medicine men or doctors of the community once they became adults. And if the child had no temperament for it, or you know this wasn't something he was going to be good at, they would return the child in less than 3 days. They could tell he wasn't gonna make the cut as a healer. And also, like the Cherokee, this followed them from Mississippi and Alabama into Oklahoma when they were forced into Oklahoma during the Trail of Tears. So so did their Bigfoot thing, for that matter. The Champagne followed them from Mississippi to Oklahoma. And
Wow.
this is where I have a little story. Um, Funny thing, it was probably right around this day 3 years ago, and I think it was the day before Thanksgiving. And I had a busy day. I had service calls doing Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas that day. So I got up. I wanted to get out early, so I was leaving around 5:30. And everything here that weird's ever happened happens at my gate for some reason. So I went to the gate to go out to my car, and I looked at the mountains to my south, and live in a little mile wide valley, and we're kind of backed up to the mountains in the north. To the south, about a mile away, and I thought were two headlights up on the mountain where there's no road up there. So I'm thinking it was deer hunters at the time. I see it on ATVs, and they're just moving from my left to my right, and then all of a sudden one, then the other one just dropped down like 200 feet, and I thought, oh my God, they drove off a cliff or something. But I never saw no red tail lights or no tumbling. The lights just went down. Then they came back up, moved on to my right again until I couldn't see them. And I was like, well, I had to go that direction. So I jumped in the car and drove. I drive right by that mountain on the way out, and I never saw anything. And of course, I'm thinking it was orbs or UFOs or something. And I mentioned it to a Choctaw guy. And he goes, no, that's the little people. And that's when I first heard. He goes, that's their lamps. And then one more story on this. 2 years ago, during the Hanobi Bigfoot Festival, one of the speakers I'm pretty good friends with, he's an author as well, and he's a researcher like you. He's out a lot. And I won't mention his name because I didn't get permission to tell his story. So I'm sure he wouldn't mind, but I'm not going to take that chance. The first night of the festival, he had done his speaking and stuff, and they had put him up in a cabin not far from here in Neshoba. And him and this other speaker, who happened to be Choctaw, were standing. No, I think this guy was Cherokee. I can't remember for sure, but they kept seeing this light, and my friend kept moving toward the light. He was getting closer because he'd never seen anything like this. Now he's well grounded. I mean, he's been researching Sasquatch for 12 years, and he's never had a sighting. He's had activity. He's found prints and stuff like that. So he's not somebody that is going to make things up. He's very, very honorable in it, and the things he described. And he'll admit straight up, I believe in him, but I've never seen one when it comes to Bigfoot. But this he saw, and his curiosity was piqued, and he started following it. And then the Native American speaker told him to stop, don't go any further because you're going to get lost. They're leading you away to get you lost. So he let it go, and this guy told him that was the little people. It was the lantern of the little people. So there's my stories about.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that could be very mischievous, and so
Yeah,
you You got to be careful what you're following around out there in the woods. Yeah. Okay. So I have a good friend of mine who does field research with me and my team, and that's Dave Pardue. I bring him up pretty often. I love my buddy Dave, and he's up in North Carolina with North Carolina. It's Carolina Cryptid Field Research Organization up there, and he has a video of little people. Okay, and the video, I mean, it is clear. There's like 3 or 4, maybe 5, I can't remember. Little people that look like they're walking in a single file line, and this is through his night vision camera or his FLIR, and in the middle of the night, up in the forest, okay, up in North Carolina somewhere, and these little people, the Cherokee little people, for instance, they are known to especially live around Franklin, North Carolina. They're spotted around that area. He's not too far from there, okay, where he does his research. And but if he actually has this a video now, I don't know if it's public. I don't know if he's shown it to the public or anything, but you can clearly see what I think he had determined that he thought it might be ETs or something, because he was filming what looked to be like a gray alien too around that area. So, but they look like little people. They're about this big, just tiny little people, and so I don't know. I don't know if they were actual little people like the Nunnehi, or if they were extraterrestrials. Okay.
Did you ever watch that show? Sorry for interrupting. Do you remember the old show Ghost Hunters came on early 2000s, Taps?
Yes.
Did you see the one where they were in Ireland and they were outside, a couple of them, and then all of a sudden these little figures showed up on the FLIR and they were on 2 legs and they were following them, like tracking them? Did you ever see that episode?
I don't know. I don't think so. I would remember that one.
It may have been season 3, episode 6. I was trying to find it this morning because I wanted to send you that video if I could find it, but they didn't have that one scene cut out anywhere where I could find it. So if I can find that, I'll send it to you.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have little things like puckwudgies too out in the woods. Okay. And those are like, like on Star Wars, they talk about the Ewoks we've got Chewbacca and all the Wookiees, but they've also got the little ones, the Ewoks. That was my brother's favorite movie when we were kids, were all the Ewok adventures. And they're just a little bit smaller, but the puckwudgies are even smaller than Ewoks. Okay. Now Ewoks are made up. Okay. They're from Star Wars, but I feel like they put the truth out there in movies like Star Wars. When it comes to these creatures. So yeah, just these little tiny things. Now, if you go to TikTok, I know I'm talking about TikTok a lot, but I saw several different creatures on there recently that look like little puckwudgies and look like little people and little fuzzy hairy beings. So I don't know. Y'all go do a deep dive on TikTok and go down that rabbit hole and call me in like 3 days. Okay. Let me know what all y'all found. Because yeah, you can really get sucked into a rabbit hole when you start doing this research online. There's just stuff that's so inexplicable on there. And, oh yeah. So, okay. Let's see here. What do we have to talk about? Oh, do you want to see some weird? I'll go ahead and show this, John. Okay. Like I said, you find some weird stuff on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
I've seen that photo.
What is this? I mean, I don't know if this is real or not, but I came across this. This is something from a video on TikTok. They say this is a Tommyknocker. I don't know. But I thought I'd show it just because it was weird. Okay. What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
I would never go back in a cave again if I saw that.
I would never. I mean, I would. I'd go back. I mean, this is what I do. I like to do this for fun, but that looks like a person. It looks like a human, but who's to say?
It seems like the whole subject matter, except maybe for the Native American traditions, but all the European stuff, and even the ancient Rome stuff, which is it's part of Europe now. they seem to like mines or caves, and they seem to like to guard. They guard precious metals or ore or whatever. Um, there's got to be there's that's a common thread. And I wish I had more time to look, but there's got to be something somewhere that started this theme or this whole
Yes.
phenomena. You hear about you hear about similar things in other parts of the paranormal, but these things are all tied in. Even and I don't know if they're all the same type of being, but they all sure seem to be tied in to the underground and protecting something valuable. And
Yes.
I wonder if it goes back, if there's a story from back maybe in the Greek times or something like that,
Mhm.
ancient Greece or one of the earlier civilizations that got the ball rolling on this. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
really interesting.
Oh yeah. Well, they said that actually it was the Roman Empire. I guess the Romans were going. I think it was the Romans. Um, they were in the tin mines, the tin. Okay. In case
Yeah.
I know I've got a cold, so I feel like my words aren't coming across very effectively today. But the tin mines, they said that they encountered stuff kind of like the Tommyknockers down in those tin mines back centuries ago. Centuries ago.
You know,
Lenita,
I used the copper mines from King Solomon's era in a couple of my novels. I think I want to go back now and look and see if there was any kind of stories like that coming from there, from those
oh yeah.
mines.
Absolutely. Yes, Lanita Bryant, thank you for that super sticker. Thank you so much. Now, Lanita has little people on her property too. She has all sorts of pictures of not only Sasquatch but little people and all sorts of stuff out there. So thank you, Lanita. I hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving and thank you for that. I appreciate your support so much. Um, but yeah, these things have been seen all over the world. They've been heard, they've been felt, they've been experienced in all these caves. But you mentioned them guarding the caves and the mines and the gold. Okay, so something that has become synonymous with Irish mythology is the leprechaun. Okay, and I mean, I know I've been. I want to say I don't want to say obsessed with leprechauns. I'm not obsessed with them. Okay, anyways, I've been curious about leprechauns for a long time. I mean, there was a really scary movie series called Leprechaun when I was a kid. Oh my God. If you want to have nightmares, y'all watch Leprechaun. Okay. That movie. Leprechaun 1, 2, 3. I don't know how many they made.
Who was Rumpelstiltskin? Was he a leprechaun or was he a gnome?
Oh my gosh. He was like a leprechaun too. Yeah. He was like a troll, I guess. Um,
Wasn't he guarding gold?
I believe so. Yeah. I didn't even think about that one. Yeah. Rumpelstiltskin. He's the one that asked Rapunzel to let down her long hair, or he took her hair or
Is that
something.
right?
I can't remember. Yeah.
I just remember there was a movie about him, I think in the 60s. I was a little bitty guy. And I remember the commercial. He was walking around chanting something, and I didn't want to see that movie. I was like, ah, that guy's kind of scary. It may have been the 70s, but I think it was 60s.
Oh yeah. Creepy. I mean, I don't know what the deal is with the trolls and the leprechauns being so scary. And plus like the trolls that are the bridges and stuff like that. I mean,
And
um,
they want you to pay a toll, and
they want you to pay them money. It's got something
yeah.
to do with gold coins or something, some kind of pentacle, some wealth, right? So, um, all right, I've got a little bit of information on leprechauns, shall we? Let's talk
Yeah.
about leprechauns. Okay, so leprechauns are figures of Irish folklore. And let me pull up a picture to you. We can check out a picture today. Here, let me. Thank you again, Lanita. Okay. So this is just your typical Irish leprechaun here. And this is it looks very much like the gnomes that we hear about in folklore. Um, Also like the Tommyknockers. Okay. It has that elfish look and Santa's elves. Okay, we're coming up on Christmas, y'all. Uh The elf on the shelf will be making an appearance at my home at some point in the next couple of weeks. Unfortunately, that thing is a pain in my butt. Just so you know. But yeah, we have we have elf. We have elves. They pretty much are synonymous with Christmas, right? With Santa's elves. Okay, but the leprechaun is regarded as a small and incredibly agile male fairy or goblin. They most often guard a pot of gold. They live solitary lives and can be a source of mischief for the unwary. They are infamous for being extremely difficult to catch or to trap. Okay. Even if a leprechaun is caught, the captor must keep them always within sight, or they will not give away the location of their treasure. Okay. Because you want that pot of gold, right? And it's usually at the end of a rainbow. But that's where they keep it. They usually keep a crock of gold coins. They share many characteristics with more ancient creatures from Irish, Celtic, and wider European mythology. But since the late 19th century, they have risen to the dominant position of being the most recognizable symbol of Irish folklore. So yeah, they have small bodies. I mean, that's kind of what they were originally known as the Lurkopan. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, which means small body. And that was medieval Middle Irish Lurchopan. Okay. But yeah, they were part of the Irish oral tradition long before written folklore. They're written about in poems. Okay, written about in poems. Now, I did a show not too long ago on Spaced Out Radio with Gerald and Jane, okay, of Midwest Night Watchers and Shiro Sounds. Jane's right here. Hey, Jane. I see you in the chat today. I bet Gerald's in here too. But yeah, we talked about mythological creatures of long ago, John. But it seems as though some of those mythological creatures might not have been so mythological. I think that they actually walk the earth, okay, including these little leprechaun guys.
Well, I agree with you, and I do agree that a lot of the characters from mythology actually walk the earth. I have my own opinions on what they were and how they got here, which I won't share today. But I agree. I think the names you hear from the old Greek mythology, and yeah, they were here. I firmly believe that. Now, I know you're out on the ancient stuff here. I do have a story, a gnome encounter in Nottingham, England from 1979, if you want to hear it.
Yes, please. I'd love to.
Okay, there's a thing called Wallington Palace. It's this huge, it's like the size of a castle, but it's a palace. I don't know when they quit becoming a palace and become a castle. Maybe the way they're decorated, not all the stone and stuff. But on 23rd of September 1979, and this palace takes up a huge area. There was a group of young boys and girls walking home, and it was just getting dark, and they were behind a fence on the property, on just outside the property where this palace sits, and they were in an area they called the swamps, and it wasn't a swamp per se, but it was heavily wooded, and it was wet but not swampy. And they started seeing these gnome-like figures. They were 2 to 3 feet tall, and they'd seen them before. Now this gets weird. So these kids decide they want to get a better look, because when they get to the fence, these gnome things retreat back deeper into the woods. They climb the fence and they go over, and then there's now the story didn't give an accurate count, but I would say 10 to 20 of these things. And they come, now this is where it really gets weird, because it starts sounding more like a Shriner convention, but these gnomes come out of the woods on these little vehicles with 2 gnomes in each vehicles, and are chasing these kids around. And one of them falls, and he didn't get hurt, but he got muddy and up. And anyway, it was so bad they couldn't climb the fence. They were being run down that hard by these things. They got to a gate and somehow got outside the gate. But yeah, that was a strange gnome story, that they came out and this is 79. I don't think, we didn't have like the ATVs and all that stuff or side by sides then, especially in England. I mean, I lived there for 3 years. Um, they would have taxed the heck out of them. I mean, we had to pay tax to have a television, So,
Oh, gosh.
yeah, it was something else. But yeah, I just thought that was an incredible story, and they were taken serious by their. I guess the headmaster there is the principal, but their story was taken serious, and other people had reported seeing them. Now I don't know if anybody else had reported seeing the vehicles, but I just thought that was a strange story, though. Maybe they were motorized mining carts. Who knows?
I mean, I think that's great. Okay, so my favorite thing, like every year we have the Christmas parade in my hometown, and and the Shriners always show up with their go-karts and
Yeah,
their little motorcycles and stuff. So I know what you're talking about. They wear their fez hats and
yeah.
uh
But these had
yeah.
the kind of nightcap looking things that gnomes and stuff are known for. According,
Oh,
because they drew some photos. I wish I would have thought to get them of them in their little carts and stuff, and they had that normal, kind of
the
gnomish
pointy
hat.
hat.
Yeah,
Okay, which is interesting because I can't remember, I was reading somewhere that hat has some
that,
kind of meaning. It's almost like
yeah,
the point of it is almost like an antenna or something. I don't know where I read that. I have to do some more research on that, but this is your typical gnome right here,
right.
uh, which
And that's
very much
pretty much how they described them. In fact, they said the hats were red or had red tops. And for some reason, one of the children subscribed them as having black beards when all the rest said it was white beards. So, kid may have been scared or perception, just how he saw it.
okay. Well, we have stories out of Alaska. Okay, and Fred Roll, who I mentioned earlier, he is an elder. He's one of the a card carrying Carryong tribe member in Alaska, and he tells the stories of a lot of the people who have given him their firsthand accounts of little people up there in Alaska. And one of the stories that he told on my show a while back was about the some little people. Okay, there's at least two or three different stories that he's told us before, but one of them involved little gnomes that look just like this with hats on their heads, just like that. Okay, and it was like one of them started, and I believe that the story he told was about a gentleman who was a law enforcement official. He was a sheriff's deputy or a police officer, and he was getting the side of his house was getting knocked on, and it sounded like somebody was beating on the side of his home. So he thought it was his drunk neighbor. Okay, wanting to get some more alcohol, see if he had some alcohol at his house or something. So he was irritated. The guy was tired. He jumped out of bed and was going to open up the door and tell the guy to go away. And as he opened up his door, there was a little gnome standing there. And the one little gnome turned into like five little gnomes. Right before his eyes, it actually multiplied into multiple gnomes. The little people is what they called it. And so it was pretty scary for this guy. That was one of the stories. There was another story of some kids that were at home, and their mother was out working, I guess, and the uncle had left a window open in the back of their home because he was sneaking out there and smoking cigarettes. Okay, and so he had left. So he had left the back window kind of open. It was cracked open, and they think that that's how these little people were getting into their house at night. And the kids said they'd hear pitter patter on the floors at night, and their door would crack open, and they'd act like they were sleeping, but they're these little gnomes, just like this guy right here, would walk into their room and look at them, stare at them while they slept. Okay, so
there's something about little things like that are creepier than big things to me. I don't know why.
chilling with my gnomies.
There
Okay.
you go.
Oh my gosh. I mean, every store that you go in right now, it's covered. I mean, there's all sorts of gnomes. Even I was at Walmart, okay, this week, and they've got gnomes for their Christmas decorations, and we even use gnomes in our garden, right? I mean, this one right here is looking pretty dapper. But yeah, there's gnomes are just kind of a part of American tradition now. They honestly, I feel like I guess they came from Europe here, and now we have gnomes. Especially in, even like in Danish culture. They gnomes are a big deal there. Okay. I don't know. It's pretty much all over Europe mostly. And yes, the Smurfs are probably based off gnomes as well. And that's the interesting point. I was making a connection with the Smurfs, and yeah, um, probably based on gnomes. Absolutely. I have some information on the Smurfs here, but when I think of the Smurfs, I also think, okay, this is gonna be weird. This may not have anything to do with the Smurfs at all. But have you guys heard of the Kentucky, or you, John? By you guys, I mean you, John. Have you heard of the Kentucky Blue People?
Never.
You've never heard of the Kentucky Blue People?
Never heard of them. No.
Okay. Well, this is another rabbit hole to go down. Okay.
Does it have something to do with? This is going to sound stupid, but Kentucky bluegrass, blue people.
I don't think so. I don't think it does.
Well,
but,
look, yeah, that's nuts.
I mean, this is a guy. This is actually a gentleman. Now, this right here is actually a medical condition, I believe, but it's caused by. Okay, I was talking with Cryptidville. Hey, Cryptidville, he's in the chat today, and in Cryptidville, I asked him earlier if he had heard of the Kentucky Blue People, and he was like, absolutely. He said this is actually it's a skin disease. It's caused by drinking water with silver and chlorine content in it. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's the combination of the silver and the chlorine when you drink it in the water, and it causes your skin to turn blue. Now, I do believe that gentleman that I just showed, he has passed away. I was reading that he had a heart condition, I believe. But yeah, he had blue skin, and you hear about the Kentucky blue skin people. I've been hearing about them for a while now. But it reminds me of the Smurfs. Now, this the Fugate family, I think that's how you pronounce it. That they actually, okay, I heard that their blue skin was from inbreeding. Okay, is what I heard, but it could be from the water as well. It depends on what story you're reading, I guess. It definitely
Did you
depends.
like the Smurfs when you were a child?
I loved the Smurfs when I was a child. Absolutely. That was one of my favorite cartoons, actually. And I made the connection because we're talking about the little people today. Well, when you go to the opposite end of the spectrum, John, we have the Titans. Okay, the alleged like mountain ranges and mountains that are sleeping giants, and we have these gigantic like mushrooms, and it looks like animals that have been petrified, like the petrified giants. And you see these gigantic mushrooms. It reminded me of like, well, what if we're the Smurfs? You know what I mean?
There you go.
What if we're the little people?
I was too old for the Smurfs, but you can tell by looking at me, I never saw a Keebler elf I didn't like.
Oh yeah, the Keebler elf. Well, that's another one. There's so much in our they're just all in our pop culture. Okay. Yeah. The little people, the Smurfs, even the fairies too. I mean, I know we're not talking about fairies today. We talked about those a couple weeks ago.
You know, fairies too. If you go back to the Irish version or the old world version of fairy, it ain't Tinkerbell. You know that they talk about. In fact, that episode of Ghost Hunters I mentioned to you, where these little things are following them, they thought they may have been fairies.
Oh, really? Well, I have to wonder sometimes, because when we're out in the field and we're getting orbs out there, it's like balls of light. What if those balls of light, those could be fairies? I've never made that connection of the orbs being fairies, but it could be some sort of an elemental out there, because we don't know what the orbs are. Sometimes they follow us. Sometimes they follow us around. Sometimes they make V-shaped patterns, and they make patterns, and then sometimes I believe that an orb could be a non-corporeal form of a Sasquatch. I don't know. We don't know. We absolutely don't know. But yeah, Amy says colloidal silver causes that in high doses. Yeah, I love taking colloid. I can't pronounce it. I need to take some to get rid of my cold. But yeah, I had no idea anything could turn your skin blue, John. I had no idea.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
I got some of that colloidal silver too. I never take it though. I took one dose of it. It's like I'll keep the cold.
Yeah. No, I don't mind it. I think it's really good for you. I really do. I think it's very good for you. So, okay. So, but we did touch on the blue people out of Kentucky. I know I only brought them up because of the Smurfs. Now I do believe that the Smurfs started off as like a Belgian or a French. I can't remember if it's Belgian or French. Cartoon, or they were characters out of there, and they were humanoid creatures that lived in mushroom-shaped houses in the forest. I guess it was back in 1958. I had no idea they were that old. Okay, I thought the Smurfs
Whoa, I was
came
born
around
in
when I was a
58.
kid.
Easy there.
They're old. Just kidding.
Old,
I
old.
thought
Rocks don't
they're
live that
old, way
long.
older than I thought. Yeah. I thought they were created back when I was a kid. I mean, it's not that much farther after I was born. I mean, what, 20 years? So, but yeah, they were, I feel like it's just part of oral tradition. Things that have been passed down about these little people that live under mushrooms and stuff. I think there could be some truth behind it. Okay. I also have some pictures here of the Cherokee little people as well. If you guys are interested in seeing these are just some of the artist pictures of them. I mean, that's kind of the size, for size reference. This is a drawing, of course, or a painting, but that's kind of for size reference. That's what the little people look like right there. Of the Cherokee night. And also you said the Choctaw little people. I think it's just Native American lore. Okay. I have another picture here. That's how little they are. Those are about the size of what Smurfs would be, I guess, right?
Their little people seem more proportion, more human-like proportions for their
Yes.
size. They're not, that dwarf looking stocky. They look, just like miniature people, miniature humans.
That's right. They do.
Or
They look,
the way the artists are rendering them anyway. Looks
yeah,
that way.
yes, you're right. They just look like miniature humans, whereas and this one looks pretty terrifying. It looks like an ogre or something.
Yeah.
But they look like little humans. Okay. And with the gnomes, well, the gnomes do too, actually. The Tommyknockers, they look more just like little humans, in my opinion. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
then you get to
They're elfish.
their facial features with the nose and the chins and the.
Yeah, they are kind of elfish. So I mean, here's some more pictures. I mean, these are just drawings,
Yeah.
of them. But they do appear more elfish with the pointy ears.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some cool pictures. I don't know. They're pretty cool to look into. And yeah, I mean, I'd want Tommyknockers there with me if I was in a cave and there was impending doom, something to warn me to get out of there. I think they're very beneficial, most definitely. And yeah, I wanted to get back to the Cherokee little people for just a second. Let's see. Let me pull some of these comments up, y'all. Okay, I've got more super stickers. Thank y'all so much. Amy, thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate you so much. And I see Bigfoot Michigan Robin here. Thank you too, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, BMR. You're awesome. Okay. So the Nunahi, okay, the little people of the Cherokee, they warned the Cherokee of impending danger. Okay. And protected them in times of need, John. Okay, so that sounds a lot like the Tommyknockers. But these are the Cherokee little people. Okay, and so it's and they live subterranean as well, in the trees, in the stone, behind the stone doors in the side of the mountains. It's very similar to the Tommyknockers, aren't they?
Yes. Sounds a lot like them.
Super, very much so. It says one of the most well-known stories about the Nunahi tells how they helped the Cherokee before their removal in 1838 The Cherokee were forced to leave their homeland and resettle in Oklahoma. They came to a Cherokee village and told the people to pack their belongings and prepare to leave in 7 days to live with them in Nunahee, to come live with the Nunahee. For a great catastrophe was about to happen, worse than anything had ever happened before to the Cherokee. So they were like harbingers or whatever. Like they were telling them, like, hey, you got something coming. You don't know what it is, but just trust us. Pack up and come with us. After 7 days, the Nunahee returned for the Cherokee and led them to a large stone deep in the mountains. As the Cherokee watched, the stone rolled away, revealing an entrance to the mountain. Inside the mountain was the most beautiful place the Cherokee had ever seen, and many families rushed into the mountain without ever looking back. However, some of the people refused to enter and instead chose to stay outside and face whatever was about to happen to them. The people who remained outside were later forced to leave their homes and resettle in Oklahoma. The people who chose to live in with the Nunahee escaped this fate of their fellow Cherokee. According to the story, it is from this group of Cherokee that the small number of modern Cherokee who still live on their native lands is descended. Wow.
Huh.
Interesting. I think that's a really interesting story. Okay. What's going on underground, y'all? I think that was my quote on Journey to Truth podcast. That's what my buddy Tyler put that up on for the thumbnail of the show I did with them. We were talking about underground and inner earth and Argatha and the deep underground military bases. And that's a good question. Like, what's going on underground, John? What is going underground and inside these mountains?
Who knows? Yeah, I've seen videos like of trains disappearing in the mountains and things like that. There's something weird going on. It's unless somebody's DCI and messing with the graphics. I've seen some weird stuff with the mountains in the past couple of years.
Are you talking about like holographic?
Well, I don't know. But I mean, I've seen where these trucks just drive and they just drive into a mountain. They're just gone. I've seen a train even. So I don't know. It could be somebody's photoshopped or video shopped or whatever they call, altered it using CGI graphics or something. But it looks really weird and believable. Yeah.
Wow. There's so much going on in this world that we just don't know. We don't know what this stuff is. I don't get a whole lot of reports of the little people. We get reports of cryptids as far as like Bigfoot sightings and Dogman and the dinosaurs and the Appalachians. I mean, the Appalachians are so full of high strangeness. And that's where those blue skinned people are from, and I'm trying to think what else. The blue skinned people. And I can imagine things like the Smurfs living in places like the Appalachians. I mean, that's the oldest.
Tommyknockers are big in the Appalachians too. So
yeah, absolutely, totally. Okay, well, I was wanting to kind of make that connection to the Nunahee and the Cherokee little people and them being harbingers of, I don't say bad news or whatever, but saviors and like helping people. But also they helped during the Civil War as well. If I can find that story here. They had helped during the Civil War. Apparently, the Union soldiers had marched down into North Carolina, and they were planning to burn. I mean, I guess it was Sherman's march down through the South, like burning everything in his path and destroying all the cities and the towns and everything. They went to what is now known as Franklin, North Carolina. The Union soldiers were there. They were ordered to burn the town down. Okay, but when they got there, what they told their commander was that the whole town was guarded by huge soldiers, like too many soldiers, where they just didn't want to mess with it. It was going to be too much trouble. And it turns out the Cherokee said that wasn't actually the townspeople; those were the little people there that had, I guess could shapeshift into human-looking people, like the size of humans, and they were there guarding the town because all the people who were able able-bodied people out of Franklin, that area that's known as Franklin today, they had gone off to war to fight, so there was nobody there to defend their town. So it had to have been them, and that was the only reason their town was not destroyed by the Union soldiers. So interesting history there, where
Really
they're protective of the people and protective of the land. So yeah, so they're protecting the
good
people.
stuff.
The leprechauns are protecting the gold. They're all protecting something. But yeah, cool. I don't know. Is there anything else? I don't know. I'm trying to keep up with the chat over here. I'm sorry, y'all. I want to just say that this has been a really fun show so far. And John, do you have any final thoughts on the little people and the Tommyknockers today? Because this has been really fun. I love talking about this.
I don't know. I mean, this is a subject I've never ever really researched much. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories. Their impact on culture, you can't deny it. I mean, they're in everything. Lord of the Rings, World of Warcraft game. As you were saying, Home Depot, it's might as well be Gnome Depot.
Oh,
They're
Hobby Lobby.
everywhere.
It's Hobby Lobby. Yeah.
Tommy Hildigger, the old
Hobbit
Tommy
Hollow.
Hildigger stuff. It rhymes with Hill Digger, like a miner. Yes.
Tommyknockers.
Yeah.
Tommyknockers. Yes.
A new clothing line. There you go. That's what you ought to do.
Tommyknockers. Oh my gosh. Don't give me any ideas, John.
Tommyknockers jewelry.
Oh my gosh. Don't give me any ideas. I'm already too busy right now with all my creative thoughts over here. But yeah, that's a great idea. Great idea.
It is interesting though, and it is for the most part, they're benevolent. There's not really a lot of bad stuff going on with them, except maybe the leprechauns. I think the leprechauns can get a little testy, can't they?
Yes.
But have you ever heard of any of the other ones really attacking people or being a menace of any kind? I don't think I have.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we get things like that we consider to be trickster spirits in our base camps when we're out in the woods. But what is a trickster spirit? I mean, could it be an elemental? Could it be a gnome? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, we like to think of them as like a ghost or a spirit kind of a thing.
Well, look at an alien gray. What if his craft is just an orb and he's just one of these things, but since it's an orb that appeared in the sky, we assume it came from the stars. It may be nothing more than one of these, a type of, who knows?
That's right. Who knows? FAP, welcome back. I hadn't seen you in a while. He said, Jess, I ain't going to visit you in those small mountains without loaded from the army with everything. You're too weird. I know I'm weird. I take that as a badge of honor. I love all my fellow weirdos here today with me. I am so weird. Yeah, that's what keeps me safe, is that nobody wants to come around me because I'm so weird. I like that. I'm just kidding. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, who's to say? I mean, there's could also be a lot of misidentified activity going on out there.
Well, look at me. I saw the two lights I told you about on the mountain that went down and came back up. And I originally thought were ATVs. My first thought when I saw that was UFO, because that's just the way I think. And then I talked to a guy who goes, no, that was probably the Choctaw little people, their lamps. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I hear that and I'm like, wow, see, I wouldn't have considered that. So
yeah, well, I've seen things that looked like a lamp going through the woods before. And Trey, the head of one of my teams, when he was out, I think he was on one of the trails out down here in the South somewhere when he was younger. He actually woke up one night, was seeing a light through his tent, and he poked his head out of his tent, and there was a lantern floating down the trail. Okay, and this is way deep in the Appalachian Mountains. And I think eventually it looked like a woman was carrying a light, but it was like a lantern kind of a thing. Lanterns are very common in ghost stories. Okay, and in local legends and lore, there's actually where I went to college down at Georgia Southern University, okay, down in Statesboro, Georgia. There's a place called Ghost Road. And for fun, we would go there on the weekends, and or the weeknights, usually the weekends though. And you drive down this desolate road in the middle of nowhere, in between some fields. Like it's a lot of farmland out there. Okay. And so, but you go down this road, and there's like a factory down the road. You can hear the hum from the factory once you get out there. But other than that, there's no noise out there. And there's just one, it looks like a little house or a shack kind of in the road, on the side of the road, and a lamp, like a street light. And underneath this light, you can see a soldier walking back and forth, kind of patrolling the area with his bayonet and his gun over one of his shoulders, and he just walks back and forth underneath that street light all night. And that's a ghost. If you get enough courage, you can actually turn on your car and drive right through him. And I've done it. Yeah. But another story, I've not seen the lantern before, but some people that go, it looks like a lantern will start coming towards you from where that soldier is. It looks like somebody's holding a lantern, and it just starts floating towards you. Because you park your car about 100 yards away, about 50 yards away, and you walk down the road towards it, and you don't usually get closer to it than that unless you drive through it. But it's a lantern. And I mean, there's been times when I've been out in the field, and we've seen something that we thought might be a lantern, but it turned out to be orbs, which turned out to be spacecraft. Okay. So like I said, a lot of this could be misidentified, or maybe things are morphing. Who knows? Who knows? It's all weird stuff. But wow. I think we've covered Tommyknockers in the Gnomes pretty well, John. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Always do.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I hope you have some good Thanksgiving plans for tomorrow, along with everybody that's watching today. You have plans, John?
Yeah, we're going down to Texas. Can't make it to see all the kids. Going to go see a couple of them tomorrow, and then have another get together in a couple of weeks. Kind of combine Christmas and Thanksgiving. We got so many kids between us. We got our own tribe.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. No, man. Yeah, the more people, the better too. We've got a lot of driving around and cooking tomorrow. I got to cook in the morning, and then we've got houses to go to with all the family all over Georgia. So it's going to be a good day. And man, I want to thank everybody for being here today. This has been such a fun show. And I will not be live tomorrow night, by the way. I usually have a show every Thursday night. And tomorrow night, we're not going to have a live show. I am going to be airing a very special show on the Georgia werewolf. Okay, so at the normal time at 8 p.m., my friends Angie and Bryce, okay, Bryce from Esoteric Atlanta, we did a show together a little while back, and we discussed the Georgia werewolf, Emily Isabella Burt. Okay, so I'm going to be airing that show on my channel tomorrow night. And for all of my Patreon members, I have I've remote viewed the Georgia werewolf a little while back. And so I'm going to put all that data up on Patreon today. It's already up there, actually. So you guys go check that out. You can see what I found, and I actually had communication with this girl. Okay, so that's all there on Patreon. So you guys go check that out. If you'd like to join my Patreon, that's the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon. Okay. Well, awesome. You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. John, have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too. Happy
Thank
Thanksgiving,
you so much for being
everyone.
Here.
You bet.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And I want to thank everybody for all the super stickers and the super chats today. That was so sweet of y'all. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support more than you'll ever know. Okay. Let's see. I guess I'll be back this weekend at Spaced Out Radio. So you guys come check me out over at Spaced Out. I was gone last weekend. I had some personal stuff Sunday going on. One of my best friends passed away, and we had her memorial on Sunday. And on Saturday, I had the Molina Bigfoot Festival. So once again, thank you guys so much. I have a lot of new subscribers right now. So if you're a new subscriber, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for following me along on this crazy wild ride. And we got more to come. Okay, John. Well, John, I hope you'll come back and do some more shows with me, and come and give me some of your input on some of these wild topics.
Always enjoy it. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much turkey tomorrow. It makes you tired. Okay, just kidding. Eat as much turkey as you want. Y'all have a great turkey day, and I'll see y'all this weekend. All right, y'all have if I can find these buttons. If I can't find my buttons. Okay, y'all have a great day. I'll see y'all this weekend. Bye, y'all.